The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Pollard streaks in. Touchdown. Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Nick Harris, John Machota, and Kyle Yeomans.
Go! Go! Dallas Cowboys!
It took everything they had, every quarter, every minute, every second in SoFi Stadium was crucial, but the Dallas Cowboys get back into their winning ways with a 20-17 win in Week 6 over the Los Angeles Chargers, and they put the bye week on tap on a high note with a 4-2 record. Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talkin Cowboys here on a Victory Tuesday from the Star in Frisco alongside Nick Harris, Isaiah Stanback. We've got Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, how we doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, solid.
I'm good, man.
Did you get some extra sleep last night?
No, last night
No,
was
not
terrible.
last night.
I maybe got 2 hours.
Ooh, 2 hours?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Over, under, Nick Harris.
Under, but yeah, I'm glad we're in the same boat.
What time did y'all land?
We landed at about I think it was 3:25. Whenever the flight attendant said over the intercom is when we landed, and then I got home around like 4:15, and then I just messed around for like an hour, I started chopping it up with one of my roommates because he was about to go to work, and I was just like, man, what am I doing? I need to go to sleep. I have a show at 9 a.m. So this is on me. This is on me right now. I'm very tired today.
Dedication, though.
Yes, sir. Only for the
There's
brand.
no hesitation on you calling in today.
I had to show some grit, because
Sure.
after last night's performance, I'm looking around and I'm seeing, the grit that's being shown on the field. I was like, you know what? I got to go in. I got to be
Team player.
ready for Talkin Cowboys. So here we are,
Team
9 a.m.,
freaking
baby.
player. That's what I'm talking about, Nick.
We are the morning show, and of course, there is always a portion of Talkin Cowboys brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, but they had plenty of grits last night.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see there.
I threw the read in there early just for it.
Smart man.
20-17, and like Nick said, it took
Sounds familiar.
toughness. It took physicality. Yeah, it's the same score they beat the Chargers by the last time they played at SoFi Stadium back in 2021.
Interesting.
20-17.
Fun fact.
Nick, it was interesting. At least whenever Isaiah and I were watching this on the TV copy back here, it was intense, really from the jump. There was an intensity, there was a focus, a laser focus at times, not so much at other times throughout the football game. But one thing that really stood out to me was right at the end, it was Mike McCarthy raising his hands. It was Dak Prescott looking up to the sky and saying, "Thank you, thank you." What did it feel like in the locker room? What did it feel like following the game? Was it a euphoria? Was there a big celebration? Or was it more so of a chip off the shoulder, a chip off the old block just to get another win and go into the bye week with a high note?
Yeah, probably more so the latter as far as a chip off the shoulder. It was more so just a relief. Everyone was definitely, I wouldn't say it was euphoric by any means. There wasn't, champagne bottles getting popped for a Week 6 win going into the bye, but it was, there was some nice joy, and everyone was happy that they pulled out with the win. There was one distinct conversation that I kind of overheard, and I won't say which player this was just because of confidentiality, I would assume, but one player was like, man, my heel's kind of hurting like that. As he was taking off his tape, and another player that was in the same position group, he's like, "You'll be all right, man. You got the bye week to go with it." And so everyone's feeling pretty good. The flight home last night, pretty good vibes, much better vibes than this time last week when they were coming back from San Francisco. But with this team, I think resilience was probably the word to use from last night, because the game last night started exactly how the San Francisco game started on both sides of the ball. It was just flipped. It was the defense giving up a touchdown and the offense going 3 and out. And man, when that happened last night, we just kind of look around and we're like, is this about to happen again? There's no way this is about to happen again. And then the offense responds. They get on the board with a touchdown drive. It was a long, methodical touchdown drive. They got going with the run game. They got going with the pass game. It was probably the last time we saw the run game the entire night. But overall, I feel like the offense really found its execution through the pass game, and that's something we've been talking about a lot. And Dak had his best game of the season, needed to have that against that defense. We talked about how there was such a big opportunity there. CD did the same exact thing. So really good to see the guys that needed to get involved. And then defensively, even though they only got home once on the Michael Parsons sack late in the game, they forced so many pressures. It felt like Herbert was running out of the pocket every single play. And I think I saw a stat last night when the Cowboys force more than 15 pressures on the quarterback since Dan Quinn has arrived. They're 17-2. Wow. So a big time job by the defensive line, even if they only got home once, that their impact was made much larger. And then how about Stephon Gilmore finishing it off? Really, really cool to see.
Are you saying pressures are more important than sacks? I see what you did.
No. Let's look at 3+ sacks. No, I see you there.
Yeah, to your point, proud of these guys for bouncing back, right, and remaining resilient. There was a lot of opportunities for them to put their head down and say, "Crap, here we go again." They didn't do so, and the guys, to your point, the guys that needed to step up, the position groups that needed to step up in this game did so. Dak, people can say whatever the heck they want to about Dak. We sat here last week and said he's not broken. He just has to do better, right? He just has to make better decisions. I feel as if he made better decisions. I think that instead of forcing the ball and having turnovers, potential interceptions, he took the sacks. And sometimes that's a positive play versus what the other decision would have resulted in. So, yes, more sacks than you would like. However, at no point in time did you feel like there's ever a risk of any interception. So that's a positive. So he stepped his game up. He extended plays that a lot of quarterbacks would not have been able to extend to put you in a position to be able to get first downs and actually get some first downs. He utilized his legs. Like people said that he needs to do more often. And we know when he uses his legs, he puts his team in a better position offensively.
Speaking of thank God.
Yeah, seriously. Mike McCarthy, great job moving your playmakers around. This is not look like a photo before the ball was snapped. CeeDee Lamb was moving from the first snap of the game. CeeDee Lamb was moving around. Brandon Cooks was moving around. There was some swag to the motions. There was a little energy in the motions. It created matchup nightmares. It created space. It created leverage. It created confusion, right? So moving guys around, we sat here and talked about that last week as well, about how important that is to this offense. We said on the pregame show, the top 5 offenses in the league, their guys don't sit still before the snap, right? So they got into he got into his bag. Defensively, defensive line stepped up in a major way. And I'm not even just talking about pressures. That's what we expect of this defensive line, right? No disrespect to them, but we expect pressures. We expect when they are in passing situations to make it hell for opposing quarterbacks. That's the expectation for this team and for that defense. What they did was they took away the run. And by taking away the run, they were allowed to do what they do best, which is pass rush. They shut down one of the most versatile running backs in the game, Austin Eckler. He's fully healthy, coming off of injury. He's been out for the last 4 weeks. This dude came in there ready to roll, had a good start to the game, but after that, they shut him down.
Would you say they punched him in the mouth?
They punched him all the way in the mouth.
Literally?
Literally. And before the game, figuratively, in actuality.
14 carries for 27 yards. That's 1.9 yards
that's
per carry.
That's the definition of shutting somebody down. And you had to do that because if they had access to Eckler, you're in trouble. Yeah. You're in trouble. So the defensive front did a great job. And then go all the way to the next level. Who was going to fill in for Van Der Esch? Oh, man. Wanye Thomas? Nope, Wanye's not healthy, so he can't help out. So Malik Jefferson? Nah, Malik Jefferson's more of a special teams player. Okay, well, who is it going to be? 14. Cox? No, that Cox ain't here no more. No, it's not him. Marquise Bell. Yeah, Marquise Bell. Yeah, that guy. You mean the undersized guy? The 200-pounder? Yeah, that guy. Well, guess what? He hadn't had a great start to the season, but he showed up in a big way last night. He was all over the freaking place, running around, making life hell for the quarterback, taking away Eckler, taking away any other little dump downs that they had, running sideline to sideline, making big hits, pressures. He was the game changer for me on that side of the ball.
Yeah, he was so awesome, and I talked to him one-on-one after the game in the locker room, and he's so like naive to the moment too. It feels like, which it's probably a good thing to have in that kind of situation. I know Dan Quinn has talked about that with Deron Bland at times, just about how like no moment is too big for him. Kind of feels that way with Marquise Bell. It was really good to see him ball out the way he did last night.
Yeah, and there were multiple guys that stepped up in that way, and we kind of talked about it, that there were role players that needed to come in and play better, and it wasn't perfect. There were penalties, there were mistakes,
A lot of penalties.
There was a lot of penalties. There was a lot going on offensively, defensively. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
It wasn't a perfect game from any unit, but it was enough to get the job done. And there were a lot of key plays throughout. I felt like our highlight read last night was the longest I've ever had to put together, because I felt like there were so many crucial points in this football game.
Yeah.
You could talk about the first half. You could talk about the decision to not take a shot at the end zone and kick a field goal going into halftime. You could talk about the second half and the punt touch and Jalen Tolbert trying to make a play, and it gives it back to the Chargers. But ultimately, the number one thing that stood out on offense was the way that Dak Prescott started playing instinctively again. Started using the legs, started getting out of trouble, because he was under pressure quite a bit. And he got sacked a couple times too. I think it was 4 sacks total on the game. He was under pressure. This pass rush got after Dak Prescott, but it was his ability to improvise. It was his ability to escape that we haven't seen really at any point this season that allowed him to be successful, find targets downfield, open up that passing attack a little bit. Like you said a little bit earlier, Nick, I mean, it might have been the last time we saw the run game. Neither team could get the ground game going, but the difference in this one was the fact that Dak had a better game than Justin Herbert, and that's how you got the win.
Yeah, 4 won this game. All in all, 312 total yards. It was not only on the ground with the fourth down scamper and being able to make that happen, and then through the air, he did it. The run game, it couldn't really get going, and I wrote about it in 5 takes last night. They have to start getting creative with Tony Pollard in the run game. And I hate to harp on a couple of negatives here, but you have to look at the score and you say you only scored 20 and you were 3 points away from losing this game. It could have gone either way late. And so there were definitely negatives to draw away. And the 2 big things I came away with was Tony Pollard, there's just not enough creativity with him. And then I don't feel like there's enough creativity in the play calling overall. You mentioned the pre-snap motion. It was the first time we had really seen that so far this season, and it got us back to like looking at an NFL offense. I want more. Give me more. I just, there's so many weapons on this team. I feel like you can put guys in positions to make some plays out in the open field. Like it could be as simple as the Brandon Cooks end around, and it's a big first down, 14-yard gain, and it sparks a drive, and then he ends up having a huge drive, has a huge third down catch on that drive. It only builds momentum. Like, let's just get the ball in the hands of these guys. We can keep the short concepts. Okay, we can keep the short medium concepts, but just get a little more creative with it. I'm going back on the film today. It's actually one of my notes that I do have. How many slants did CD run last night? Which, like, he did good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, man.
But you know what? Like, to that point, I sat here last week and said this offense, the West Coast offense, works, right? When you move guys around, and if you just line up and run slants, you just line up and run hitches, line up and run shallows, like, it's probably not going to work to your favor. But when you watch film, okay, and when everybody else watches film, go back and look at how putting CeeDee Lamb in motion, or anybody in motion, softens the defense, how it creates leverage, right? So CeeDee Lamb might be lined up one way. All of a sudden, you run a motion across the formation. Now, whoever was on him goes from inside leverage to outside leverage, right? It goes from 4 yards off to 5 yards off. Those little adjustments that nobody pays attention to are what creates the opportunities for him to run slant routes uninhibited, right? There's so many opportunities like that showed up on film last night where it's like, you know what? The safety was going to roll down to his side, but as soon as you put somebody in motion, they changed responsibilities and they sent the other safety down instead of that safety that was going to take away that slant, and you're able to hit CeeDee Lamb across the middle. There's a lot of things like that people don't see on film, and that's why I say motion, pre-snap motions and shifts or things of that nature are important, because you change the dynamic, you change the responsibilities. The defense has to adjust, and when they adjust in the way in which you want them to and anticipate them to free up, even though you're still running slants and short routes. It allows you to get those big plays.
And we've talked about it many times about how Dak Prescott at times struggles with reading coverages. It highlights coverages by having pre-snap motion, so why not integrate it even more? I think there's only one offense in the entire NFL right now that could get away with the lack of creativity that this team showed through the first 5 games. Yeah. I'll kind of keep last night as an exception, and it's Miami just because of all the speed that they have. Like they can run those short, quick routes and take off like that. But not every team is Miami. Clearly, they have the most yards ever through 5 games. So I just need to see a little bit more creativity top to bottom there. Well, and it goes hand in hand with pre-snap motion.
It looked like the creativity allowed for more confidence for Dak too, because
for sure
the ability for him to step up into the pocket, step out of trouble. That doesn't come without a little bit of confidence. Just a little bit of confidence to know, okay, this is where my guys are going. This is where they're going to be. That sort of deal from a quarterback standpoint. So when you're looking at it, Isaiah, and you're looking at a game that Dak had last night, it's not going to jump off the page from a statistic standpoint, but it was clean. He took care of the football, and he moved the chains. That's what the offense is predicated on. How did you feel like he looked in the way that he executed?
I think he executed relatively well. No, there's definitely balls he wish he had back.
Sure.
Let's not.
I think both quarterbacks had plenty of
my
those.
gosh, Herbert did
not have a good day.
He did not have a good day. And part of that was because the defense was putting pressure on him.
Yes, sir.
And he did not feel comfortable setting his feet. So if you can't set your feet as a quarterback, you're not going to throw the ball as accurately as you should. There's some, I'm sure Dan Quinn will go back and look at the film. There were some big plays left on the table for the Chargers that they just missed on. So glad they missed on them.
Man, that double move that Keenan Allen put on Deron Bland. Oh man!
You talking about when he did the tumble? When he did the tumble forward? Yeah, there were some plays out there
a couple of them.
I looked away.
That one.
I looked away because I thought it was gone.
I think off the top there was at least 3 plays that should have been probably touchdowns or close to touchdowns that they just missed on.
D-Law with the bat down. There was a screen left side to Austin Eckler, and he had a blocker in front, and it was one-on-one blocker. And the only guy that Eckler would have had to beat, I believe, was it Damone Clark?
That would have been, the bat down by D-Law would have been 6.
Yeah.
That would have been 6. Most likely would have been 6.
Saved a touchdown.
Yeah, there's at least 2 Keenan Allen plays that would have been 6. I mean, but it is what it is, right? Coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't happen. Dak played well. Now, I want people to understand that taking a sack is not always a negative play. Yeah, Dak did a great job of just knowing, I got to eat this one. Last week, he didn't do that. Last week and some things last year, he just tried to force it in there. It takes maturity. It takes growth to say, dang it, I don't want to take this sack, but I got to eat it, right? Live to play another down. And he did that yesterday. He escaped so many sacks. There was 4 sacks. He escaped another 5.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked like a little bit of Romo, just shaking them off.
I still have to go back and look at the O-line, but from what I was seeing, they were getting their butts kicked a little bit up front. Okay, the stunts were giving them problems. We knew we broke it down on film last week about how these guys run stunts. They run them wide stunts. So it puts a lot of stress on Tyler Biotage and the rest of the guys on the interior line to really look all the way outside into 11 techniques and say, okay, is that guy coming? Oh crap! All right, so it gets your bodies out of position, gets their shoulders turned, and then they had to end up holding calls and things of that nature. But Dak did a great job. I'm glad that he used his legs. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad. If he didn't use his legs, they don't win that game. Straight up.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If Dak did not use his legs and did not cross the line of scrimmage and get some positive yardage, they don't win that game.
Or even scrambling outside of the pocket. Even.
Yeah. Because you take away the touchdown because that was 18 yards on the read option, so that's not using his legs. The way that he set up the 60-yarder to Tony Pollard on that one drive that ended up in points. That was one where it could have certainly gone a different direction. CeeDee Lamb, 18-yarder in the final drive to help set up that field goal, the Brandon Aubrey field goal. Multiple times where Dak used his legs, utilized the ability to move around the pocket, get out of the pocket. It certainly helped things out. All right, time for us to take our first break. When we come back, let's continue on the offensive side of the football. What's going on with the connection between Dak Prescott and Michael Gallup? Is there something to be concerned about moving forward, or is this something that's already been a concern for this Cowboys offense? When we come back with more Talkin Cowboys on a Victory Tuesday right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys, and now he's on his phone on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. It's all smiles here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. The official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys as the Cowboys get a 20-17 win over the Los Angeles Chargers. They are now at 4-2 going into the bye week, but still plenty to talk about on offense that maybe wasn't as clean as it could have been. We'll talk about the penalties. We'll talk about the offensive line in a little bit, but I want to start with Michael Gallup. Dak Prescott at one point in the game when targeting anyone but Michael Gallup was 16 of 16 passing. He completed his first 16 targets to guys that weren't wearing the number 13 on the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver core. However, Michael Gallup did get the most targets in the game. 10 targets, had just 3 receptions for 24 yards. So I asked the question, gentlemen, and Nick, I'll start with you. But Michael Gallup has always benefited from a connection with Dak Prescott. He's always had 4 in his corner. And it's not to say that 4 is not in his corner by any means. He targeted him 10 times. But is there a concern there for Michael Gallup moving forward? Or is this a concern that's already been there, but it's just rearing its ugly head again?
Yeah, I mean, look at the last 2 seasons and the production that you've gotten from Michael Gallup. I think there had to be a certain level of expectation. I don't think that I don't think that anyone realistically you could ask going into the season expected a 1,000-yard season from him like he did in 2019. That was 2019, I believe. As a wide receiver 3, what are the expectations? Like, what are the preseason expectations? Asking you guys.
For Michael Gallup?
Yeah.
Getting paid, what is it, $11 million a year? Right about, Isaiah?
11.35.
$11.35 million a year. I mean, he is a number 3 receiver. I would like at least 800 yards.
800 yards
would be great. That's asking a lot because that means Brandon Cooks probably has at least 900, 1,000, and that hasn't happened. CeeDee Lamb would have 1,300 like he's had the last couple of years. So I think even 800 is probably a high number.
I'll say this, I'm sure 600, 800, in that range, probably good. But the fact that he had 7 targets last night that did not go his way, there's got to be some sort of rhythm there. There's got to be a rhythm that gets built with him and Dak Prescott. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do because that's a relationship that's been built over the last 5-6 years, and I'm not 100% sure what's wrong there, but it hasn't felt the same since he's come back from injury, rhythm-wise with him and Dak. So we saw that a couple of times last night, and there was a couple of slants that he ran that Dak was expecting him to break on a little bit earlier, and they got batted down quicker than expected. So, I think that's part of it. What we got over here?
Yeah, Isaiah, what are you cooking up over here?
I'm very confused.
I know what people like to do.
Big FOMO, right?
I don't like counting people's money, but the reality is you gave him the bag. You gave him the bag. And there's an expectation. Unfortunately, there's an expectation that comes when you get paid in this league.
Sure.
And from the time that we reached training camp, I was concerned about his ability to make contributions to the level of the expectations, right? So I hear you saying that he's a number 3 receiver on this roster, but he's a well-paid number 3 receiver on this roster. So whether the issues are stemming from his end or whether the issues are stemming from the chemistry in between him and the quarterback or the offensive coordinator, something has to be figured out. Because right now I don't feel like there's – back in the day, before his injury, you knew what Michael Gallup's role on this team was.
Yeah, deep threat, contested catches.
Big third down guy.
Contested catch ability.
Yes, I think he still possesses those capabilities. However, they're not asking that of him right now. And when the opportunities have come to him, aside from one game this year, it hasn't connected. For whatever reason, I'm not going to speculate. It just hasn't connected. And again, that's for them to figure out. But, there's an out for them in 2024. And right now, I can't see them. What he's put on film this year, I can't see them continuing to pay him that going forward for the contributions that he's made.
The cap hit next year would just be just under 14 mil. So 14 million under the cap hit. The year after that, 2025, is 16 million. And so the potential out is where the cap hit and the dead cap kind of offset a little bit, and it doesn't hurt you as bad as a team. It would still be tough to get rid of Michael Gallup just from a contract standpoint. There was going to be a significant amount of dead cap there, but you could also restructure him and maybe try and push that down the road if you wanted to keep him.
They just have to figure something out.
But you're right. Yeah. If they don't want to keep him, then what do you do with a guy like Gallup? And honestly, I think you could say the same thing about the wide receiver core as a whole. This was the first time you really saw Brandon Cooks at the same time, and you got him involved. You got him outside. You got him a couple targets, and he had a touchdown grab. That's great. Didn't really see a whole lot of Jake Ferguson in this matchup. I want to see more of these guys, but at the same time, whenever CeeDee Lamb's doing what he's doing, you can't take targets away from him either.
Yeah, and CD obviously had a fantastic night last night, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your best playmaker get fed. But all in all, it's tough for multiple receivers to have a good game, and we've seen that through 6 games. Again, we have a really large sample size now going into the bye week. I think coming out of the bye week, there's got to be some sort of emphasis on just getting playmakers the ball. It goes back to what I said in the first segment. Just get a little bit more creative. You've got guys that can grab the football. I mean, with Michael Gallup, he's still a possession guy. He's still a guy you can throw it up to one-on-one and feel comfortable with, against a Charger secondary. I just want to see them take those chances more.
What did you think about the offensive line, Nick? Isaiah kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. He felt like, at least on initial viewing, they had some holes. I haven't even gone back and watched the film yet. Usually I do. Slept in a little bit this morning. Go after, I'll look at the film in a little bit. But I thought the same thing. I thought the offensive line at times held up decently, but Dak Prescott was under pressure quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a horrible night up front, in my opinion. Dak Prescott was running away for his life most of the time, and he was able to fight some guys off. Again, if it's without 4 last night, they don't win that game. He did a great job of just being able to fight off the pressure. But offensive lineman Tyler Smith had probably his roughest night that I've seen him have in a really long time. It was pre-snap penalties, holding penalties. Terrence Steele held his own. I think he was probably the guy who had the best night last night up front. But that left side, man, it was crashing in a lot. It happened early and often. It was Khalil Mack getting home early. Yeah. It was Nick Williams got home in the fourth quarter.
Morgan Fox had 2 sacks.
Yeah, Morgan. I don't even know who that is. No, but yeah, it was a rough night up front. Those guys, they got to clean that up. And who knows? Maybe it's a rhythm thing. All 5 of those guys being up front for only the second game, and I haven't loved the sample size we've gotten from those 2 games. So hopefully there's a little bit more to clean up there. I asked Tyler Smith afterwards what's kind of the emphasis going into the bye week from an offensive line perspective. And he said, "Man, we just got to get back to what we do right, and let's get back to technique." He said there was one specific thing that he needed to work on, but I completely forgot what it was. But pre-snap penalties, that was also a huge emphasis, and making sure that they clean those up. But man, the penalties last night,
11 of them,
for 85 yards.
I mean, it was all 3 phases again. It was the same thing that's been plaguing this team all season, lining up offsides. 12 men on the field twice.
And they had to burn a timeout to save the second one.
It's that's got to be cleaned up.
How does that happen? How does 12 men on the field happen?
Substitutions.
Just just not.
The second one was Sam Williams, and
they were subbing a lot.
Look, man, Sam Williams tweeted post game, "Free me," with like a dog in like a cage, and man, free yourself. Free yourself. That's kind of how I feel about it. He's getting involved in fights pregame, and then during the game, he's lining up on the field when he shouldn't be, and it's hands to the face.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man, come on, come on, Sam Williams. I challenge you to free yourself.
At that point, it's just discipline, right? At that point, because Sam Williams is a good player whenever he's active.
Maturity and discipline.
But you just got to find discipline, right?
And maturity.
Yeah.
As a grow. I mean, it's a competitive group over there on the defense side of the ball. But going back to the offensive line side of things, I'm glad that he said that they have to get back to their technique because that's what shows up on film. They're struggling on stunts. And when I say that, I mean, I'm assuming that the Chargers seen it on film against the 49ers because the 49ers ran a ton of stunts, and it caused Dallas some issues up front as well. But the passing off of responsibilities, the communication there, the nonverbal communication of knowing who's coming into your space and who you're supposed to take based upon the blocking scheme. The technique comes into part when these defensive ends are getting so wide. The Chargers stress that extensively, right? They lined up in a 9 technique, which is a gap outside of your tackle, and then they put somebody outside of that. So I don't know, call it 11 technique, right? So you had a 9 and 11, 2 guys outside, and then they ran a stunt back across. So as the whole right side of the offensive line tries to shovel, kick, and go out there and protect the right side. Well, sometimes you just get a little nosy and you end up turning your body, and now all of a sudden your pads are adjacent to the sideline, and that stunt comes right back over the top. So technique comes into part, but also trusting your responsibilities. If they're playing that wide, they can't get to your quarterback, right? They can't get to your quarterback. There's literally a hit point, right, for the defensive ends. They run it all day long in training camp, right? There's a certain yardage, right? 4 yards to 6 yards. That's where your quarterback's really going to lie at, right? Right around that mark, okay? They're going to hit that point every single time. When you line up so far out, they're just going to end up running the hoop. So you have to trust your technique and trust your scheme, trust your quarterback to know that, hey, if they want to line up way out there, bro, you can step up here all day long. Right, let those guys run around in circles all day long, and let them go on the merry-go-round. Step up here, and this is your safe place, right? This is your snuggie. We'll put a snuggie around you, right? But they can't chase guys, and that's what I think they're starting to fall into. So when I hear him say, "Hey, we have to get back to trusting our technique," I think that's probably what he's referring to. Hey, we just got to. This is our box right here, right? And if they want to get to our guy that we're bodyguarding right now, which is Dak, they have to come through us, right? And that's the hardest concept. You find guys on special teams, right? I did a lot of special teams. Punt teams chase the guys a lot as well, right? They end up getting their bodies turned, and that's when the up and unders come. You just got to say, hey, listen, this guy is at that point right there. We know how many yards he's going to be sitting at. If they want to get to him, they can run around. They never get there, or they have to come through us. And the offensive line has to get back to saying they got to come through us if they want to get to number 4.
Trusting your foundation, trusting your technique.
Yep.
That sounds easier said than done.
Yeah.
It feels like it would be a tough thing, though, all the way through. So how easy is that to do from an offensive line standpoint?
It's trust. It's trusting the guy that's next to you.
Okay.
It's trusting the guy that's next to you.
Can that just come with continuity and reps?
Absolutely. But it's also sometimes you get so gung-ho out on, I want to get this guy, or oh, that's my guy, right? That's my guy no matter what. I'm chasing him like a pit bull, right? Like he's wherever he goes, I'm going. And then you lose your technique in chasing your assignment. So even though you've checked the box, okay, I got my guy, that's mine, I'm responsible for him. Well, if he goes outside of my jurisdiction, I can't keep chasing him, right? I can't lose what I'm supposed to be doing just to chase my assignment. And that we've seen it on film many times where team defensive coordinators will recognize, hey, we know that guy gets locked in, so we're gonna mess with him. I almost said something else. We're gonna mess with him, right? We're gonna run up there and we're gonna grab his attention, and then we're gonna back out of there, right? Because we know if you show at the line of scrimmage, he's gonna get locked in on you, and he's gonna be less concerned about the gap integrity that he's supposed to have, right? So there's a lot of that going on. So they just have to get back to saying, hey, shoulder to shoulder, you're my brother. Anybody wants to get back there, right? They got to come through us. We just got to trust that if they want to run the hoop, right? They want to run the hoop, Dak's going to step up. And they just have to keep instilling that into Dak. Hey, step up. We got you in here. We can't help you out there. You got to step up.
Can I get in my sicko bag for a minute?
Go ahead.
Yes.
So when I was covering high school football,
Now we need a drop like Nick's sicko bag.
Did you see his fit yesterday?
Yeah, it was. They talk about sicko.
Yeah, all right.
Nasty.
Sicko mode.
Yeah, I'll let it
see
breathe
you
for a
over
second. Let me get in my sicko bag for a minute. When I was covering high school football, there's a team down in the Houston area, Bridgeland, and Cypress Fair ISD. Relatively new school. They've turned out a lot of talent. The starting quarterback at A&M this year, Connor Wigman, came from that program. But every time they go out, they have super wide offensive lines like splits. Like these guys are lined up dang near like hash to hash on a college field or a college and high school field. And I was always wondering, like, why do they do this? And poor Connor Wigman, he was just getting bludgeoned in that offense, like every single time, because it was just isolating high school offensive linemen on the edge, and they were getting killed. But last night, I was sitting there looking at the wideness that they'd come around, like you said, with like a 9 or 11 technique, and I was sitting there and I was like, you know, if the Bridgeland offensive coordinator was on this sideline tonight,
yes,
he'd be like, you know what? I have just the
got
thing. So I don't know. It was a little sicko moment I had last night with myself, so I felt like sharing that. But yeah, maybe it could have worked.
It's trust.
I want to know if anybody at home is a part of the Bridgeland High School football program and was just tuning into Talkin Cowboys as a normal Cowboys fan and said, wait a second, what is Nick talking about here?
They know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Bridgeland High School football, send us a text, 817-290-3298. We'll see it on the text line. All right, when we come back, I want to talk about the defensive side of the ball. They deserve a ton of credit. Plus, we've got some Smelly stickers to give out on our only show this week with this crew. We'll talk about the podcast switch-up schedule at the same time when we come back with more Talkin Cowboys right after this.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by the Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan. Glad you're with us here on Talkin Cowboys. Final segment of a Victory Tuesday here from the Star in Frisco. Isaiah Standback. What are you laughing at? Nick Harris, Chris Beam in the back.
Why you out of breath?
Yeomans. What, am I out of breath? Because I got a tight hammy this morning.
Oh, God.
Had to run upstairs to go get that beautiful helmet.
Look at that. I love that in my shot.
A beautiful helmet. Yeah, I'm just going to put it right there for you.
Perfect. Oh, that's
There it
perfect.
is,
That's
there it
pretty.
is.
That might be the new centerpiece.
I have like a clean white helmet up there too,
No,
like
we
the
just
one
have
they
to- just
wore,
need
the
to keep
Arctic
the
Cowboy helmet.
Keep the Smelly sticker one up there.
You like the Smelly sticker
Yeah,
one?
man.
People were hating on those uniforms last night. Dude, they're so clean.
The all whites? They're so Broncos? They're out of their mind. Those are sick.
It's like I posted on Twitter whenever they came out, and it was like 50-50. Like, people were split on it. I was like, we're split on this?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you're split on, if you're just trying to make conversation, that's dumb. That's dumb. That is pure dumb.
Really, really dumb.
Yeah. All right. So before we get to Smelly stickers, I really quickly want to give credit where the credit is due on this defensive side of the football. 17 points allowed against Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator for the Chargers, as the Cowboys defense gets back to doing what they do best. They had the 8 quarterback hits, only 1 sack, pressures all over the field last night. 6 passes defended, including a couple big ones from Deron Bland down the stretch. Isaiah, a quick thought on the defense before we give our players of the game.
I think the D-line especially was serviceable. I think they did a great job of, I don't want to say serviceable, let me retract that statement. The defensive line played their butts off. Jonathan Hankins had a heck of a night. Osa Odigizua continues to show up. Those guys controlled the interior defensive line and really created some havoc on the interior offensive line so that they could not establish a running game. Marquise Bell did a heck of a job of reading the screens, right? We talk about how Eckler, if he couldn't get going in a running game, he was going to be a great contributor in terms of the passing potentially. Well, Marquise Bell did a great job of negating that, right? Wherever Eckler was, he was. Whenever they tried to run screens, he was there, sideline to sideline, creating plays. Curse honestly did a relatively good job as well. I think that penalty was BS against him. I think Deron Bland. Yeah, unsportsmanlike. That was trash to me.
That was so trash.
Yeah. But the secondary, honestly, the secondary got Tostito'd a good amount of times. I'm not even going to lie. I think they got bailed out by some bad throws by Herbert. I think that could have easily been not in their favor had the defensive line not had the pressure because guys were open. Double moves, killed them. Concepts killed them. I think they have to be better on the back end.
It was Jordan Lewis for me that really just had such a rough game. And I had actually highlighted it in the key matchups leading into the week with Keenan Allen. Him and Keenan Allen cooked him.
He cooked Deron Bland.
He did on that double move, but other than that, Deron held his own. Like, think about it in the fourth quarter, Keenan was relatively held in check, but that double move, again, corner, very thankless job at times because when you have one horrible play like that, it overwhelms everything. But whenever they put Deron Bland on him, it worked out. And I was screaming for that early in the game just because they were throwing Gilmore at him. They were throwing Jordan Lewis at him. They were throwing Donovan Wilson at him at a certain point, one-on-one, and it wasn't working out. But fortunately, it worked out for the Cowboys.
I really like the defense and what they did last night because you talk about 17 points allowed. It very easily could have been 10 points allowed if it wasn't for the special teams debacle and the
was a great play by the
field
Chargers.
Position. It was a great play. And I don't fault Jalen Tolbert for going
not at all
football. He was trying to make a play. He thought it was touched by Turpin. Now he got pushed back in Turpin, and that's a learning point for Tolbert as a whole. But the fact that he went and touched the football, I don't blame him for that.
What he did, and I hope people understand how difficult of a job he has.
That's a tough job.
You're sprinting for 40 yards. You're sprinting backwards, and then you're expected to stop, turn around, and now change your momentum
against the guy who's
sprinting
steam.
as well. It's one of the most difficult things you can do in football. It's underrated. Kudos to Jalen Tolbert for putting that effort out there, and he had a heck of a game too.
All right, talking about having a heck of a game, is it enough for your Smelly sticker? We'll let Nick Harris start. He had the most time to look through the stickers, so you get things underway.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So I my eyes peeled onto this lemon right here, right? Because when you're handed lemons in life, what do you do, Kyle?
You make lemonade.
And who made so much? Do we have a lemonade sponsor?
I don't believe so.
Who made so much Minute Maid lemonade yesterday? Not the Houston Astros.
Not the Houston Astros. Go Rangers.
Who did? Who was handed a ton of lemons and made lemonade? Marquise Bell.
Oh.
So, Marquise Bell, whether it was filling the running lanes, finding Austin Eckler early and stopping the run. I mean, you had arguably your best run defender out in Leighton Vander Esch, and, man, he stepped in and he did his thing in the running game. And the passing game, he was able to keep things limited. And even though it did end up in a score, him being able to force that 4th and goal from the 1 just by being able to stop Eckler right at the goal line, that was grown man stuff. And to see it from a guy that doesn't have as much experience experience and is literally playing out of position. Love to see it. So, Marquise Bell, you have my Smelly sticker today.
Yeah, good stuff. You want to go next, Isaiah?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. Pass that big old helmet over here.
Whoa.
Stretch.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick the biggest sticker on here. No pun intended.
Yeah.
All right. I'm picking the one right here. You see this guy on the bike?
Yeah.
What does he have on his back?
He's got a backpack.
Got a backpack. You know why he has a backpack?
There's like 17 pineapples on this sheet that have a backpack,
well,
including this one that only shows his backpack.
It's a big guy that rode into SoFi Stadium with his backpack and winning his bag. Coach McCarthy winning his bag this week. All right, regardless of what a lot of people are going to say, he did what he needed to do offensively, changing things up to create the matchups he needed to get some of his playmakers the ball. I know it's not the Kellen Moore. Listen, this is not Kellen Moore's offense. Okay, so people need to get that out of their head. You're not going to see what you've seen over the recent years.
Get it out of your head.
That's what I said in training camp, right? Whatever you have in your head of this offense, get rid of it. It's going to be a completely different look. What you saw yesterday was Mike McCarthy's version of getting in his bag, right? He will make it look a little bit different every week going forward, but he did what he needed to do in terms of motions and shifts and moving his guys around to get CeeDee Lamb the ball, to get B. Cooks the ball. That's more than we could say over the past few weeks. So, Mike McCarthy, you rode into SoFi, put your backpack on, and you looked across the way, and you said, take that, Kellen Moore.
Take that. Take that.
Speaking of bags, did y'all see Micah Parsons had like 8 bags that he was carrying into the stadium yesterday? He's like, what are you doing? He brought his whole house to SoFi.
In LA.
He's a West Coast guy. All right. Isaiah, what did you eat pregame yesterday? You were snacking on a fruit. What'd you eat?
Oh, I had a pear.
You had a nice pear, right?
That's right.
Well, that's what I've got right here. I've got a little sticker. It's a pear. You know who had a pair of touchdowns yesterday and led that offense well? Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, big 4, got it done. He had a rushing touchdown, his first rushing touchdown since week 8 of last year. By the way, longest quarterback run for a touchdown since John Kitna back in 2013.
The Kit?
It's been a long time since you've seen a quarterback take off for 18 yards. That was 29 back against the Lions.
It was actually in 2010. Because it was my first ever Cowboys game, that exact game.
Wow.
And whenever a Dak Prescott ran it in, I turned to Patrick Walker. I was like, do you happen to remember that John Kitna run back in 2010? And then I tweeted about it, and a couple of people were like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And then PR, they tweeted it out. Yeah. So,
awesome.
Yeah, little John Kitna.
So you did it first.
Yeah. I knew I was onto something. I knew I was onto something. You feel me?
He's out there doing work. But so was Dak Prescott. He had a pair of touchdowns, one in the air, one on the ground. Found Brandon Cooks, got it done. I give him the pair for my Smelly sticker today. By the way, I got a question from Mario in South Texas, our guy Mario. He said, I just want to know why Kyle has to run upstairs every week to get the helmet instead of just bringing it down into the studio beforehand. Great question, Mario. We'll talk about it next time.
Talk about efficiency.
I just needed to get a little extra work.
Can I give an honorable mention that could have very well replaced Coach McCarthy?
Ooh. Sure, but very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah. He's had 2 good weeks. Even in the loss against the 49ers, he was solid.
Hankins has had a good year.
Yeah.
And Osa Digizua. Those two right there, they need to go into the Smelly Sticker Hall of Fame for this week.
Okay. Maybe we'll add another one on afterwards. Maybe after. All right, guys. This is kind of sad for me to talk about because it's the last show we're going to do together this week.
I could have did it.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah. Missed it. Missed the opportunity.
We got the big fella on there. That's all right.
Last show we're doing together this week on the podcasts because it's now time for our bi-week annual podcast mix-up. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time on Talkin Cowboys. It'll be myself hosting with Barry Church.
Who's that?
Brian Broaddus. And Kurt Daniels. Those are the 3 that we've got for Talkin Cowboys tomorrow. Really excited about the 3 guests that we'll have on that one. BC, Brian Broaddus, Kurt Daniels. Really fun crew. Nick, you'll be on Cowboys Break with Derek Eagleton, Danny McCray, and John Machota. That'll be fun. So, I mean, Derek just decides to
take both
grab
guys.
Patrick Walker for the full-time show.
Listen, man.
And then John and Nick for the switch-up show.
We got you, DE, man. We see you. We've been watching you. for some time now.
He's apparently been watching us.
You're always
too.
scouting. You're always scouting.
He's been watching us at the same time.
Not by chance, Nick.
Just seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah will be on Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
That's right. I'm the
3
boy.
p.m. Central Time. Nicole Hutchison,
Show
Amber
the wig,
Garcia, Savannah Humler, and Isaiah Stanback.
That's right.
So you are the boy.
I am the boy.
That'll be fun. 3 p.m. Central Time on DallasCowboys.com tomorrow, and then they'll do it again on Monday. So no shows Thursday and Friday, but Wednesday and Monday is when the switch up, the mix up happens along the way. And you can see the entire list on Derek Eagleton's Twitter if you want to see the entire list of podcast schedules.
Y'all doing anything for the bye week? Tyler Smith told me he might be going to the fair, and then Brock Hoffman quickly looked at him and was like, you probably shouldn't do that. It had some
stuff over the weekend.
Some stuff over the weekend.
That security's out at all times.
Y'all doing anything for the bye week?
Next day.
Yeah, I'm going. I got a concert going on Friday. I've got VIP tickets to see my favorite band, so me and the wifey are going there. And then we're also taking a trip down to Austin. We're going to go see the F1 races.
That's cool.
Yeah, a little Formula One action on the bye week. What about you?
We're actually hosting my business, Steadfast Fitness Performance, is hosting the TRX Summit, the Texas TRX Summit. So TRX in their headquarters, they're coming to my facility to
That's
run the
pretty
summit.
cool.
It's going to be pretty dope, man.
we go.
3 days.
Is that open to the public?
Yeah, if you want to pay the fee to get in. I don't get the money for it, but TRX does.
That fee's public.
TRX, they're taking over our facility. I think they're going to have close to 200 people coming in there to run a 3-day summit.
Somebody listening pays the fee and says they listen to Talkin Cowboys. Can they take a picture with you at your facility?
Come through, man. Steadfast Fitness and Performance. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I'm seeing Travis Scott tonight, and then this weekend all I'm going to do is sleep, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there you go.
You need to catch
Beamer,
up,
what
baby.
are you doing for the bye week? He's going to go to the fair. All right, there you go. I like it, Beamer. All right, that does it for us here on Talkin Cowboys. Be sure to tune in to all the mix-up shows throughout the week, but more importantly, here on a Victory Tuesday, Dallas gets the win 20-17 over the Los Angeles Chargers. For Chris Beam in the back, Isaiah Stanback, and Nick Harris, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We'll see you tomorrow with more Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!